On the internet, you can find some truly depraved things if you look. You don't have to search far to find horrific videos of people being shot, burned, stabbed, beheaded, and there is a community out there of people based around sharing and watching these videos. There are many varied reasons why people watch these videos, but in most cases, they won't lead to any malicious actions from these people in real life. But recently, they did. But it's probably not in the way you think. This is a story of Datbeheading, how a gore watcher ended up on the sites that he used, in what I believe is the world's first real snuff film. Okay, I have timestamps so you can skip this, because you probably don't care about who I am. But if you do, I promise that I'll be quick. My name is What Arcadi Saw, but you can call me Alex, and this is my first video, so yay. This channel intends to look at some of the darkest pieces of media out there, covering new cases and elaborating on older ones. Particularly, I'll be looking at gore videos and pieces of extreme cinema and telling you all about their contents and their origin. And if you're interested in that kind of stuff, feel free to subscribe. I'd definitely appreciate it. So to begin, it's important that we look at the video itself. I obviously can't show the actual gore, so I'm not going to. I'm going to try and describe it in a way that's not going to get me banned, you know? So the video itself has earned many titles, a lot pertaining to red rooms and the dark web, but the most common one that I've seen used online is Vietnamese Butcher, so I'm going to use that. For some history, on the 22nd of July, a 24-second video began circulating of a man naked on a bathroom floor, masturbating, before another naked man quickly takes a cleaver to his neck and decapitates him in seconds, splattering blood across the room and leaving his body in a pool of blood. Shortly after, a new 73-second video appeared from a different angle. This would be a camera on the floor beside him depicting the same decapitation. They appear to be talking to one another, being the victim and the perpetrator, but audio is missing from this video. And then earlier, on the 8th of July, a batch of photos began to spread depicting the process of his dismemberment, culminating in what looks like his heart, kidney, penis, and other body parts getting cooked and plated with chopsticks. The dish represents the Vietnamese herbal stew, and I am going to butcher this, I'm sorry, ham thiok bak, which features red dates and goji berries. And during the process of this dismemberment, the victim's penis would be severed and then placed into his decapitated head's mouth. And I know it seems like I might just be saying that to gross you out and shock you, and I kinda am, but I also promise that it's important later. Judging by the photos, multiple people were involved in the butchering. A video would also show the lead up to the murder, but that video feels more like a softcore gay kith video, in which a man in a Guy Fawkes mask takes off the clothes of the victim and begins caressing him. But it also shows what's to come, as near the end of that clip, he puts the victim's head down and swings the cleaver into his neck guillotine style, but obviously not hard enough to kill him. The killing took place between January 25th and February 24th, and what makes this video interesting is that the interaction seemed almost entirely consensual. The victim made no effort to resist, he didn't seem to struggle, and if anything, he seemed to enjoy it. This made people do some research and uncover things that made this already disturbing video so much darker. Now let's start with the main one, the victim himself. The victim's name, which once again I'm probably going to butcher and I do apologize, was Nguyen Juan Dat, and I'll refer to him as Dat in this video. He was born on the 10th of March, 1989. He lived in Ha Dong in Hanoi, Vietnam, and in most relation to this video, displayed an extreme interest in being beheaded by 2020, and 2022 displayed an interest in homosexual activity, which to me is kind of like a weird progression, because I feel like it's much easier to figure out that you like boys and you like getting your head cut off, but I don't know. Anyway, he had two Facebook accounts under his real name, both of which had bios displaying interest in beheading, as well as Guro hentai, which is a genre of Japanese drawn pornography that focuses on gore. On these accounts, he would also say he was looking for an executioner, and in leaked DMs, he states his dissatisfaction with life. He would refer to himself as ugly and disease-ridden, and that without God he would have already killed himself. One of his last posts declared 3 hours until the plan is executed. There'd be one more post after this, but it would be made after Dat was already dead for months, indicating that it was made for the killers. Because of this, the post about the plan being executed was the last post made by Dat, and that means that the plan in all likelihood was his decapitation. Outside of Facebook, he would go by Datbeheading on various social media. He had an account on the porn site Motherless, which is relatively extreme as a porn site, with the bio declaring his desire to lose his head. On hentai sites, he would request translations of Guro hentai, one of which will be extremely important later. On gay forums, he would go by Datbehead and give out his number freely. He would also go by this on the Vietnamese messaging app Zalo. Interestingly, his account is still around, despite Zalo deleting accounts after 45 days of inactivity. Given that that's been dead since February at the latest, that means that someone, likely the killers, have been on his account. There's one place where Dat had an account that I haven't mentioned yet, and it's probably the most disturbing of them all. WPD, or Watch People Die. For those who don't know, Watch People Die is a mix of a gore site and a forum, and while I'm trying to avoid sounding cringe here, it's kinda hard, but it's kinda like Reddit, with a smaller community and a focus on gore, to, watch people die. Under the Datbeheading alias, he had been a member since September of 2023. He was not active in the community aspect, having no comments, and while it's increased now, before his death he had no followers either. His profile picture was an image of the site's logo, Marcy the cat, with the hair and glasses of Misato from Evangelion, and I don't know if this was changed by the admins after or if his profile picture was before, but stuff like that always hits home with me. With guys like that and some other people who I might do a video on later, going through their online presence and finding out they like some of the same things as me, in this case, the same anime, Evangelion, always makes it feel like so much more real. Either way, I think we can all guess what Dat was on that site to do and watch. From a conversation with police after his death, it's also revealed that Dat's father was dead and that Dat had been missing from home for 5 years. Leaked Facebook screenshots show an individual communicating with one of Dat's profiles. However, given that the image sent by Dat's profile was one from the first clip, the weird softcore gay kid thingy, it's likely that it was one of the killers just using his account. I'll read out a translation of the messages here. It's all ready, just waiting until we do it. Who will do the beheading? Is it Chung? No, it's somebody else. How come we don't just let Chung do the beheading? It's too difficult to wait on Chung. Why? He received the message, but keeps on delaying. More messages on Dat's Facebook simply show one of the killers using it to confirm the beheading has happened. I'll read those out now. Dat has been beheaded. Who beheaded? Thumbs up emoji. More conversations show one of the killers sending another picture of Dat and a severed penis. And I'm not an expert, but that penis really doesn't look like Dat's, making me wonder if Dat isn't the only person who consented to being butchered by this group. I'll read out those messages now. That's right, he told me about you. Okay, let me see your face. Sorry, for security reasons I can't right now. But the photo you sent doesn't look real at all. Please understand, I'm also not allowed to send many photos. What do you think about the clip I just sent? Okay, that's Dat's dick. He was tied up so tight and enjoyed it so much that even after you let go, his cock stayed hard like that. The earliest trace of the video appeared on the 2nd of July in a small Vietnamese Telegram group named Preview. It contained 11 users, while other chat screenshots from another Chinese group with 41 members, simply named Private Group, appear to discuss that video, as well as other possible gore videos, as early as the 24th of June. The 41-member group was created by a Vietnamese individual, who also spoke Chinese to facilitate the sale of the videos and photos of Dat's killing. He demanded approximately $100 USD to join the group containing the videos. Whether this 41-member group was legitimate is unknown. The 11-member preview group is confirmed to have contained at least one of the videos. The cost of the package mentioned in this group was allegedly $600 USD. The screenshot I'm about to show contains the earliest known instance of the video, obviously censored, accompanied with a caption reading, "In total, there are 11 videos and 91 photos, sold as a package." The pinned message reads, "Anyone who needs to purchase can contact at Jehespisen," an account that is now deleted. One source, who was among the first to distribute the videos and photos, claims that the creator of this group was the butcher himself, although this cannot be confirmed. The screenshot is auto-translated to Chinese by the person who took the screenshot, and the original language of the group is Vietnamese, and it was titled Preview. Whether this group was in fact created by the butcher or someone else who obtained the videos and decided to resell them is unknown. A heavily censored preview of the video was posted on July 2nd, along with another censored aftermath video. It was also somewhere around this time that the video began to be referred to as the Vietnamese Butcher video. The first pictures showing Death's dismembered body and remains can be tracked down to as early as the 8th of July, and screenshots of the uncensored video started appearing by the 21st of July. The earliest copy of the complete uncensored video can be tracked down to 10 p.m. UTC on the 22nd of July in another obscure Chinese Telegram group. It was likely that it was on this day or within a few days prior that someone who had purchased the package began to distribute it or had it leaked. The second video was shared as a recording of a phone screen shortly afterwards, and a couple hours later the video reached more public Chinese Telegram channels where it was discovered and posted to well-known gore sites. Now, remember how I told you to keep the Guro hentai and, the insertion of the penis into the decapitated head in mind? Well, here's why. I told you that there was a reason. So one of the Guro hentai that he commissioned and got a Vietnamese translation of was Applicant for Death, or Tasatu Shingan. I want to say that this is an Guro manga and is incredibly disturbing, so unless you're relatively desensitized, I wouldn't go looking it up. And besides, you pretty much already know what happens in it, given that Dat's death is almost a one-to-one match with the manga. In fact, the scene where the executioner picks up the severed head and shoves a dick into its mouth, that's from the manga. Even the video getting sold after happens in the manga. And now, an obscure Guro manga from almost 20 years ago has inspired a real killing, and likely one of the first real snuff films. The snuff industry is not real, at least not in the sense that there's been a documented case of someone murdering someone with the intent of recording and then selling it for profit. It's a legend about the darkest corners of the internet, and similar to a red room, it's also not real. Or at least, I thought so. Gore videos are sold all the time, but almost never by the people committing the murder in the videos. Guys like Peter Scully and Adam Britton have come close, but these videos didn't showcase the murder of humans, with Scully committing and selling the sexual torture of a young girl, which is obviously horrific, but not her death, and Britton committing and selling the torture and death of animals, which once again is horrific, but those aren't humans. There are of course rumors, like that some murders in Juarez, Mexico were committed for snuff, but that's all they are, rumors unconfirmed. So, snuff videos are defined as pornographic, premeditated murder that is produced for financial gain. Videos like One Lunatic, One Ice Pick definitely come close, but are missing the mark on financial gain. But this video, The Vietnamese Butcher, this is about as close to real snuff as you're going to get. It was certainly pornographic. The man dies masturbating, and you could confuse the first 2 minutes with any regular gay adult film. It was also premeditated. That was likely contacted from any of his online profiles where he displayed this interest and then had his murder planned. His Facebook messages and posts prove this. There was a set date and the killer planned to have someone behead him. 4 camera angles, prepared cleaning products and kitchen utensils, professional execution, all for a video that was initially sold for profit before being leaked. A video that almost had a rollout. Think back to that severed penis that doesn't resemble Dat's, and more gore videos being discussed in that telegram. A theory I've seen is that the killers seem to have found an industry of using those who find sexual pleasure in being murdered by recording their death and then selling those videos to interested buyers. This theory isn't confirmed, but I wouldn't exactly be shocked if I see more videos resembling Dat's death in the future. This isn't the first case of something like this happening. In fact, it's the third known and confirmed case of a consensual homicide carried out with the apparent motive of sexual gratification. What it is the very first where the video was actually released or leaked. The first case you may have heard of. It's the infamous Armin Mewes case in 2001. Mewes, a German man, met his willing victim, burned brands on a cannibal fetish forum. The killing and partial consumption were formed, and Mewes was later convicted of murder despite the victim's consent. The video was never made public. The second documented case would also occur in Germany. Something going on over there. But in 2013, Detlev Gunzel, I think I got that right, a former police officer from Dresden, killed and dismembered another man he had met with the now-defunct fetish forum Zambian meat. As in the Mewes case, the victim had allegedly volunteered to be killed. Gunzel recorded a whopping 50-minute video of the dismemberment, which was shown during his trial but has never been released publicly and to this day has never been linked. But with this case, the Vietnamese Butcher's level of documentation, multi-angle footage, indication of prior planning, I think it stands as one of the most extraordinary events in the history of modern crime. So something that all those cases I mentioned have in common is that they are all because of the internet. And once again, not to sound cringe, but this genuinely does remind me of a 4chan thread. I'll have the image if I can find it, but the gist is that back in the day, if someone wanted to fuck a toaster, they get called a weirdo, realize they're a weirdo, and then end up not fucking a toaster, living a normal life. But now they can find a whole community of people online who want to fuck toasters, find outlets for their toaster fucking desires, become accepting of their toaster fucking self, and end up getting their dick burnt off. And I'm not trying to suggest that the existence of the internet is a negative. Dat was clearly a troubled man, and I don't think not having the internet would have guaranteed his recovery or him leading a normal life. But at the very least, it'd be much more difficult for him to find someone willing to decapitate him, as well as find material to further his fetish. What's the solution? I do not know. I mean, I'm pretty anti-censorship in general. I definitely don't think gore websites should be shut down or anything. But it is important when reflecting on the situation to acknowledge the fact that Dad's internet access enabled his fetish and eventually led to his tragic death. And of course, with all these cases, it's easy to just see him on a screen, but that was someone's son, that's someone's brother, that's someone's friend. So, it's important that when you watch these videos, you don't get too emotionally desensitized because that can be pretty bad for you. So, rest in peace to Datwin, and I pray for his family during this tough time. I want to give a special thank you to these people for helping me get the information I need to make this. Tumbling on Bescore helped point me in the right direction. Sog on WPD is the person who made the post about this case containing most of the information. Hannah999 on WPD provides some information for that post. Master Desky on WPD gave some insight on previous cases. And HyperXCloud on WPD gave information about the Guro manga that Dat read and mimicked. Thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe or whatever. All that YouTube shit.